Esse título, hein, meu?
Yeah.
Tá chique, hein? É em português ou em inglês?
Vou ter que fazer em português, né? Pra ser justo com todo mundo. Actually, about what I spent some time researching here during my master, what I heard, what I understand about this year. So, one of the most important things that I learned here during this year, like learning from Eric Schmidt, Ray Brofman, all the Sam Altman, all the big names, is that we don't know actually what's gonna be, and that's the most important part. Like, so it's our job, like, to figure out how to apply AI to our business, to our country, and how to develop this new technology. It's brand new for everyone, and even for like the biggest minds of the world, if they don't know, of course, probably we also not gonna know. So it then decided to move to Stanford. Was so lucky as I was telling you about being here exactly during the boom of AI, and I have the chance to have classes with these amazing people. And that's something that I want to share about you. And with you can ChatGPT it, you can like go on the internet and understand about what is artificial intelligence, why we are in the hype right now, what's going on, and why now. Probably most of you know that we are in the third wave. AI is not a new thing, like the AI lab from Stanford is from the 60s, so almost, yeah, 60 years. So it has been a long journey, and because of ChatGPT now I have a lot of this hype, right? But you have like 60% of all the money invested on companies, and most of these investments happen here in Stanford or in the Silicon Valley. So here's the place to be if you want to understand more about AI, right? During my master, I did like three big questions that that I was very curious about. Like, the first one is, every talk that I was like with Sequoia, A6Z, like all the big names, there was this idea about like in 4 years the AI is gonna be between 100 and 1,000 times cheaper. And I said, okay, that's too much. But that's really like how. And I always try to go a little bit deeper and try to understand what's going on really. But nobody knows exactly what's the answer. So it was kind of, you know, that thing that you start like repeating, and then everyone believes on that. And I think, okay, I need to go and spend some time looking for this. And I did. I can share with you all the details, but we have, you have like architecture, you have a lot of protocols that call it. It's going to be the users, but the inference cost, that's what most of people were talking about. So now I have yes, because it's free, right? So the margin is negative, but for OpenAI, Microsoft, they still need to pay that, but that's
I think the upper cost don't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense, but it's getting low. So, and I did a lot of, I can talk about that like for a long time, but I don't think that's the biggest point here. But when I like understand really what's going on, and really gonna drop like between 100 and 1,000 times in 4 years, but also because of this newsletter, right? That's my newsletter. I started, the first edition was March 5th. And it's an AI newsletter. So I have some agents, they go to the internet, collect all the data in a lot of places, understand what's important, what's not, create like a newsletter and send to a lot of people. And the first version was about like $15 per day to produce that. After 277 days, that's the version today that's costs 10 cents. So it's not just about like the research, but we really can see this. And for the ones that are using API, OpenAI API, you can see that the costs are like dropping, plummet like very fast, and that's gonna be probably we're gonna see this 100 and 1,000 times in the next 2-3 years. So why this is important? Because there is a lot of things that now it's not feasible, and it's gonna be very fast. So voice is something that's still kind of expensive, and that's gonna be cheaper, and all of the things. So if you're looking for a project and it's not feasible today, just have a second thought, because probably in the next few months it's gonna be possible, right? Movies, all of that, probably we're gonna have in a very cheap way. For the landscape today, most of the companies, the big companies, they don't compete, they don't have the moat as a software. They have a lot of other things, right? And when you look for AI, that's even harder. Like to create a moat using AI, it's very hard. You can see like OpenAI and Claude every day. Their model are get better, and even though they don't have like a clear competitive advantage on the software, they have other things, right? As this piece, brand, of course, it's a big one. Ecosystem, if you have network effect, if you have like some kind of modes on this, that's very important. Execution, how efficient you are, how you know how to allocate your resource, that's also very important, the decisions that you make. And of course, sales or distribution, the way you reach out to your customers. So it's not just about product. Today is not, and with AI, that's also not gonna be the truth, right? So you're gonna have other ways to compete, and probably it's gonna be much more about this than the software. This software, as in, actually it's gonna be even worse. That's gonna be even more important, because if the cost of produce a software it's decrease every like startup. Imagine like 20 years ago, probably Peter knows about that. Like the cost of a startup, it was huge, right? Because you need like to invest, I don't know, 100K to buy some mainframes. They start like a server, right? And then you got the cloud computing, and that's allowed a lot of new startups to start from in a dorm like this one. And now have the same. Now it's not just about engineers starting companies. You can have like 2 guys from the business school coding, or at least doing an MVP in days, maybe hours. And if they have like the sales, if they have like the understanding about the pains of the customers, if they understand really the market, maybe they can have like with a shitty product made completely by AI, have customers faster than like 2 guys on the engineer school. So that's going to be interesting to see how these 4 elements will impact the competitive advantage and the competitive landscape. Or like coding software, I don't think so. I don't know if OpenAI has patents actually. I never heard about that. Data, that they don't follow the rules, getting the data, right? Engineers, that's how they compute. So.
Even because today with ecosystem platform, it's better to be open,
yep,
and collaborative than closed.
Yeah. If you,
in that segment, not in drugs or healthcare.
Yeah.
But
if you think about like Llama from Meta, that's a good example. But if you think about it's open source also.
Yes. So collaboration ecosystem.
Yeah, and that's gonna disrupt the drug discovery, right?
Yes.
So.
No, I'm just trying to register once patent, but you can do it because it's a code based, so you can register code.
Yeah.
So you can register your brand, but not the code.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's allocate to like internal team to create internal tools that's gonna make them more competitive. And I don't know if that's gonna last forever, but I think it's a good way to have like a wave or maybe two to get some markets, and then they're gonna go back to the new Salesforce, the new HubSpot, the new or whatever. Because now we are in this moment, this uncertainty moment. So there is a lot of things going on, and if you are like the first one to start this movement, maybe you can get some competitive advantage using this. Confidence that the AI kind of hitting a wall, so it's not gonna scale too fast. Probably not gonna have ChatGPT 5 on the next month. So I've been listening about that like for the last year. So 6 months ago, in a class with Eric Schmidt, he said 3 months ago I was pretty sure that like big models will be like the winners on this race. 2 months ago I was pretty sure that small models will be the winners. Today I have no idea. And that's has been like this uncertainty. Imagine like Eric Schmidt, one of the most like probably here like U.S. Department of Defense on AI, a lot of like inside information. If these guys don't know what's gonna happen, imagine us, right? So there is a lot of uncertainty about like big models, small models. We don't know about that. We don't know if we're gonna have like this ChatGPT 5 or not. We don't know about like the privacy. There is a lot of uncertainty, and it's kind of course hard to navigate on the scenario. It's also a great opportunity. So curious about that, because there was so much money and a lot of companies like invest on that. Who is doing a great job and who is not, and why? But what's happening there? I did like 38 interviews, most of them large, very large enterprise, Salesforce, Microsoft, New Relic, Intel, iFood from Brazil, and not surprisingly, but one of the best interviews that I had. They're very, very mature on that, so could give like a class for most of these companies. Like, it's not about tech. It's about our behavior. It's about our fears. It's about like how slow we are to adopt a new technology. And that's not new. That has been happening like forever. We can have like the process CAS book that is amazing, and I explain exactly why that's happened and all of that. But the whole point is not why. The whole point is that's happened. So the whole idea that AI is gonna replace everyone in the next 2 years doesn't make sense, because we are so slow. Because we are like, it's very hard. And think about yourself, like today. You know how powerful ChatGPT is, right? And most of the people here use at least once a month, and at least once a week, at least once a day, maybe. And probably you are here, but go back to your company and ask the same question. You're gonna have 80% using once a month. You're gonna have like 6-7% using every day. And it's free, zero friction. You can be like, you don't need to know how to read, you just need to know how to speak, and you can use. Even it's free, even though 6-8%. So it's crazy, and that's a huge opportunity for everyone, because it's not just about the UX. It's about education. It's about like time, because people need time to change their behavior, and that's gonna be like very important, right? The same. We have been using machine learning in banks, in credit score frauds for a while. Nobody knows that, and that you can increase very fast. But to put like as a tool for a person, that's gonna take much more time than we want. About most of the CEOs, especially tech companies, saying on the earnings calls, we need to implement AI, right? You have like on the Q2, 40% of the S&P 500 companies talking about AI. And when you talk about the S&P 500, you have a lot of kind of industry, right? 40% saying that AI is gonna be the next big thing. And what happened? Like Intel, like amazing company, should be like a very tech company. They were doing exactly this. They were like, okay, we need to implement AI. So let's find a use case, let's implement that. And they spend like $20 million in a project that solve anything. And most of the companies that I talk or that sometimes I give some consultings, they start, oh, Cadu, where I can implement AI? I say, I don't know. Give me your strategic plan. Like what you're looking for the next year. And look on this in this way, if there is any issue that you can use AI to reach your goals, not change your goals, not create this idea about, okay, now I have like an AI department, now I'm gonna have AI initiatives. That's not the idea. The idea here is change that. So you have a goal, you have a plan, you have a strategic plan, and you need to implement that. Does AI help you to achieve your goal in a better way? Yes or not? If not, it's okay. You don't need to implement AI. AI needs to be something that helps you. So there is a lot of companies looking for solutions looking for a problem. And that's the worst way to start like our AI project, right? So you should look for a problem that you already have, that's important for you, that you really want to solve, and then start to invest to make it happen. And talk about Gen AI. If you talk about machine learning, that's solid, that have been working with that for 10 years, you can trust on that, you know the pros and cons. But if you talk about like Gen AI, 2 years, not so trustable to invest like all your strategic there, right? After like all these startups and all the new generation of the company, that should be like basic, right? Because when you look for the Brazil landscape, most of the incumbents right now are startups. If you look for iFood, if you look for Mercado Livre, if you look for Nubank, so they know, they played this game like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But most of the companies need to understand and to keep very focused on doing this. Start small. It's not like a eccentric $10 million project. Like really, we really don't know. And I was talking with Luis from Oracle about this. Like sometimes it's not about a big project. It's about like to prove a concept, to understand exactly how to start and how to see some value. So there is so much uncertainty that you can't put all your chips on one place, right? You need to.
Or taking the money from customers and putting OpenAI, it's not the bad idea because it's just taking money from here and giving to customer. But nobody knows already what's the time to turn and to have these all inside the company and start to train.
That's tough, man.
Etc.
Do you want to spend $100 million to train a model?
I know that, but
my vision about that is if we don't have like a ChatGPT 5 on the next 6 months, we're gonna start to see like all the platforms like OpenAI. It's a little bit ahead of the others. Cloud is a little bit behind. You have Llama, you have all of that. You have like open source models like being trained centralized. You have a lot of things about this. But if they really have this wall, in 6 months, everyone's gonna be in the same place. If that happens, in an economic perspective, the prices go down even faster, right? And then they're gonna start to change, because who created the interface layers is gonna have more margin, they're gonna have the less margin. It's not like a brand new thing, it's exactly what happened with cloud computing, right?
Yes.
You saw that, like, and it was tough, but today it's a infrastructure business with a high margin. That's kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
With a big expenses on the B2C, that's free, that we were talking about. That's marketing actually, but it's a good business on the perspective of like the B2B, right?
Nice.
But yeah, I don't know how that's gonna.
But it's a good point of view, thank
They can't have like 50 AI projects running on the same time, right? And if you take like a small company, I don't know, 100 million reais of revenue, you could really implement AI in every little department. You have a lot of like opportunities. It's never been so big, like the number of opportunities, right? And what's going happening is the cost of implementing AI is gonna drop on the next years, right? So imagine that you have a lot of opportunities, the cost is low, but you have this bandwidth. So you can have, let's say, 10 projects. What's really gonna matter is the return, not the cost. So if you take a project that's gonna have a low return, or that's gonna take so much time to have the return, you're gonna lose a lot of competitive. So the most important part is what project you're gonna choose. And that's why it's so important to look for your strategic plan, because there is the answer, right? You spend a lot of time thinking about what's really matters from a company. So you should look for this, and you should, okay, can I implement AI here to make it faster, better, cheaper? If yes, great. If no, try another one. And if you look for your entire strategic plan and it'll have nothing.
May I ask, just for a new AI?
AI, right. There is a big maker in Brazil that I was helping. They have like 20 people working in an amazing project, like started getting bigger, amazing. And then OpenAI released the ChatGPT-4. And ChatGPT-4 was on their roadmap 2 years ahead from them. So they spent like 20 people, maybe 10 million reais on this project, building this amazing AI, and then ChatGPT free 2 years ahead. We're competing with a company that has like $200 billion in valuation. So it's gonna be impossible to compete with that. So you need to be savvy to understand exactly what's your role on this competition, right? We have a very low chance to have the really first architecture is the best one possible. That never happened. Maybe could be this time. But I really believe that they're gonna figure out another kind of architecture that have like pros and cons that, and you're gonna start over again, as we did like with a lot of new technologies. You're right about the data sets. It's kind of something that everyone talks about, that they already like scrap all the text, all the videos. Now they're looking for unstructured data. But I don't know, I think the model could be the limitation, yeah. And the architecture.
There are some architectures.
Like we had a breakthrough right now, but maybe we need another layers, another technologies, and another things like to really got how powerful AI can be. And it's very hard like to see in perspective, looking backwards, it's easy, but if Bill Gates didn't know, yeah, last slide, and like in 10 days using partnership, using like no-code solutions, very easy, and get some value. There are things that you're gonna need like to do in 10 weeks, and with AI, you really can do this with 10 weeks with the right partners also. And there is the big projects like changing your database. That's gonna take like 10 months to planning that, right? But I think like companies should be looking at this way, because you can get some value there. It's gonna be limited, but you're gonna understand, you're gonna learn, you're gonna know exactly how you can do that, and then you keep developing. So if you have like 3 paths, small, light, very respecting like the timing of the people and from the technology, I think that's a good approach to implement AI. And I think that's it. Questions? Let's make AI a very technical thing and try to make it very business oriented.
Yes.
And make it simple on the sense that it's just another tool. So what problem are you trying to solve, and what's like projects do you have, and is there a way to AI to help to develop that, but not change a lot of things. You don't need a new agile, you don't need a new like methodology. Play like the basic as possible, you know, because there is so much uncertainty in everything that you don't want to put another layer. Make it simple. Keep it simple.
Good.
So you're not joining us tomorrow, right? Are you?
No. Busy day. Yeah.
So I'll share Cadu's contacts in our group, and
Pastor here in Stanford just finished 4 or 5 months ago. Have been entrepreneur in Brazil for the last 15 years. I started 2 companies there, sold the last one for a big bank. You know, of course, doing another company, AI. Today, what's the idea? Like show a little bit about the campus, but we are a little bit behind the schedule. So just show like this, that is one of the beautiful part of the campus, and then we're gonna move to a classroom. I'm gonna share a little bit about my research that I did during my master about specifically how to implement AI, what's the best like practices, and what you can do. And then I think that's it. I don't know if you want to spend more time on the tour. I think it's a big group. Maybe you can. I don't know if it work like try to walk and talk, but you can try. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay. A missa tá fechada, geralmente fecha a igreja aí, não?
Ah, não, a sua.
A missa? A sua. Deixa eu esperar o pessoal chegar. So, yeah, that's the church. And a little bit about like the Stanford story. So, it used to be like a farm from the Stanford family. Then there is a kind of myth that Stanford has like a rivalry with Harvard because I don't know the name of the son of the Stanford. He died very early, and they decided like to create the whole university like to
Some memorial.
yeah, as a memorial for their son. So this used to be their farm, and this is like the main plaza from Stanford. To that side you have like all the engineers, like a lot of buildings, and it's amazing because you have like William Gates building, Paul Allen building, the HP building, Google was created here. Like a lot of story and a lot of amazing companies that we changed the world from here. To that side, you have the other undergrads. It's 2,000 undergrads per year. Like it's kind of small. So Stanford is a small school, like 20,000 students. So kind of small.
2,000 or 20,000?
20,000. Yeah. It's 10,000 undergrads and kind of 10,000 graduate students. So to that side, we're gonna have politicians, social ciência política,
Political science.
yeah, history, law, all the other matters, and to that and more there you have like all the dorms. Just Stanford have like 2,000 dorms, so it's as Palo Alto is it's a town, very small. The whole idea about the campus is like to live, and we have a lot of connections here, different from other universities that are like in a city. Here it's amazing because every day you are connecting with other undergrads, other people from engineering, people from law, and you're always having this different perspective. So I think that's one of the most amazing things from Stanford. What's more?
Rodan,
questions?
I think you didn't mention Rodan to everyone. I don't know if everyone knows, but Rodan, the artist, has got the biggest.
We can take the car, like just pass through the museum. So there is a museum here. It's called Cantor. It's also a donation. It's crazy the numbers of Stanford. They have $50 billion, $50 billion on donation on their endowment, and it's
Every year?
No, like as an asset.
general.
But even though like.
Every year we
Yeah.
That's right.
Guys, before we leave,
El
¿está bien?
artista fotográfico.
São baratinhas essa daí, né?
Hum?
São baratas essas.
Que lindo, hein? Porta do Inferno.
Tem uma plaquinha aqui que explica a letra.
De Rodin.
E aqui, cara, o tempo todo. Então, porra, eu sou @Stanford, eu mando e-mail, cara, eu fiz isso, mandei um e-mail faz 2 semanas pro founder do Instacart, $11 bilhões. O cara me respondeu, tipo, sei lá, 2 horas. E daí eu pedi uma call lá, o pessoal do iFood estava aqui, queria bater um papo com eles, ele recebeu o executivo do iFood, tipo, porque um alumni mandou um e-mail pra ele, ele acha relevante criar essa conexão, e, pô, eles estavam lá conversando. Então, não vende aí.